Hey everybody, welcome to the Front Row Sports Live podcast. This is me, Fab. That's Steve. This is Wes. We are here to talk all things The Last Dance right now. We're going to talk about the last two episodes. And the first topic that we're going to talk about are two things we learned from the past episode. Steve, hit me. What are the two things you learned from this past episode?
The Pistons were the most important opponent the Bulls ever faced. And Scottie Pippen might be one of the most underrated players in NBA history.
That's good.
But why do you say he might be one of the most underrated players?
Because people still don't give him.
Documentary. What did it tell you that he was probably?
I knew he was underpaid, but people aren't putting it together that he's the reason the Bulls, fiscally on their books, were able to put together the team they did. Very similar to what happened with Steph Curry in 2011. So Steph, if you recall, early in Steph's career, he was very injury prone and had a ton of ankle injuries with surgeries and all of that. And it kept him off the court for several games, right? And so when it was time for him to come off of his rookie contract, they gave him something like $10 million a year. Like, they signed him for a bargain. He was incredibly underpaid, and him being underpaid kept them under the cap, and that's ultimately what allowed them to be able to afford KD.
Wow. That's a good point.
Wow.
And to keep the other core of Draymond and Klay together, because at that point he was one of the lower paid starters.
Yeah.
Steph was. Now he's gotten that back in them some because he signed a Supermax.
Yeah.
But Scottie Pippen, for 4 out of the 6 years of the 6-year run in the 90s, was woefully underpaid. He was what did the documentary say? He was the 120th paid, something like. And wasn't even. There was a bench player that was making more than him on the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even in the starting five salary.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the two things that jumped out at me. I knew most of the other stuff, but
yikes! No wonder.
But
Save this, please.
But the thing that really jumps out at me is how important Pippen was for them to get over the hump.
What medieval is that?
This is real reality TV right here.
My two kids are running their race car through the house. Bye-bye. Without the Pistons, Michael Jordan doesn't win 6 rings.
In closing.
There you go. Wes, so what are your two things?
All right. So this is kind of like something I'm trying to figure out. The perception of, and we've talked about this before, of Jerry Krause, I think is being instigated more because Jordan's behind this, because Reinsdorf isn't getting any blame. But here's the point that Barkley came out and said. He said something dealing with the fact of that, like, if you just look at the grand scheme of things and how even Jordan was getting underpaid up until I think those last 2 years or so, that even when he got the contract and things, Jordan was having problems basically with the front office, because it was like they were basically expending them for all their talents but not giving them anything back for this at all. And then I wonder, because these past 2 episodes kind of talked about the way that he was dealing with the media and all the attention and everything like that. I know they talk about, and they emphasize a lot in the media about how Jerry Krause broke up the team. I just wonder was Jordan really going to stick around either way? Because it seems like he's getting into this place where he doesn't really want to do it anymore. So I think it's like a two-handed thing. I think like you got the stuff with Krause, you got the front office issues, stuff with Reinsdorf, everything like that. The underpayment of Scottie, the Phil Jackson not coming back, everything like that. But then I'm also wondering from these two episodes, like, did Jordan really want to be playing again? Because when he's in the truck with Ahmad Rashad, he's talking about, man, I'm not trying to be here being carted off or anything like that. And then when they're talking about he's in the hotel room and he's saying, you know, this is a life that it's cool, but this isn't cool anymore. I just wonder how much longer he was actually trying to keep on going, and if it was just a tale of all of the events. I know, like, it's been publicized before as just like Krause breaks at the team, but it seems like they're also showing that Jordan was in the mindset, like he came back and it's like, okay, this is still like it was before, and I'm ready to get out of this.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I learned, though, from it.
Two things I learned are, one, I forgot, and I probably didn't really realize how tired Jordan was after that 93 season.
Yeah.
Like, after all the stuff he went through in 93, yeah, I could see that why he's tired.
Yeah.
Like, that media pressure is just, like, hounding him.
Yeah.
The dude didn't care. He was in an interview with his sunglasses on in 1993. Those things you never saw from anybody. And if you know, Jordan was one of the most put together people while he played. Like, in the way he dressed, the way he spoke, you never saw him, like, doing something like that. So that was, like, out of character. So that's something that really stood out for me. And the second thing is, I kind of agree with him on his political stance on just politics, period.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, like, his whole comment, like, Republicans buy sneakers too. Yeah, I understand that. They do. But at the same time, like he was saying about the guy they were trying to run for Senate in North Carolina.
Yeah.
He didn't know who this dude was. He ain't gonna just promote somebody just because he's black.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But in 1993, 92, 93, it was a little different. You had a whole Malcolm X.
The problem wasn't Gant who was running. It was the opponent who was a known virulent racist.
Yeah.
Even back then, it was well known.
If Jordan would have just said something, yes, he probably would have won hands down.
Look, he lost by 100,000 votes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a large amount of votes. It wasn't little.
But it could have swayed some people. It could have, but he stayed silent. But I understand him being silent. I totally get that. Like, if you don't know the person, just because you got money and you're rich and you're famous doesn't mean you can just go out and just promote anybody. His main focus at the time was just straight up basketball. He just wanted the ball. And one of the things that he said in the doc, like, he didn't have a gambling problem. He had a competition problem. There was no competition within the political scene for him.
Oh man.
Talk about that, but he had a gambling problem.
Fab is drunk off the Kool-Aid. My background should be his.
No.
Yeah, man.
I'm saying, think about what he's saying though. Think about what he said, and think about, like, the scenario of what's going on.
If you leave in the middle of the playoffs and go to Atlantic City,
listen to what I'm saying though. There was no competition.
You might have a problem
in the political world.
But in the middle of all that, he's flipping coins with his security and for money.
Stay with where I'm going, Steve. Where I'm headed. I'm just saying, like, there was nothing for him to really compete at in the political world. So
I think, though, with that point, even if you're saying, like, he doesn't have a gambling problem, like, I personally, for me, you put $2 down, that doesn't even matter. Like, that you shouldn't be in that headspace because it's just the risk that's involved. Even if you got all that money and everything like that, just the principle of it, for me, is something that I'm not really cool with. But knowing for him, when he says that I don't have a gambling problem, but I have a competition problem, well, where is your competition shown? Like, your competition is consistently shown either on the basketball floor or in gambling on the golf course or something like that. So it's like, you could say, I have a competition problem and I just hoop. Well, your contract says that you hoop, everything like that. You were drafted and you do all of that. But at the same time, in your extracurricular, it seems like you take time out to go and gamble. So it's hard to say, like, I don't have a gambling issue. I just have a competition issue if your competition is completely reflected in gambling.
Do you think that he bet on basketball?
Man,
Yes.
I ain't about to get the FBI at my house.
Yes, I think he did. Honestly,
we text back and forth about this. Even if it was true, he was so maniacally competitive that I could only see him betting on himself winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah.
But I do think he probably bet on his own games.
And I mean, the thing is with Jordan, I mean, like I said, and we've said this before, if Jordan wasn't good and carried that same nature, we don't celebrate him, of course, because he's not winning and he's not as good. But it's also just the thing of, like, why are you being such a jerk? Like, it seems pointless. Why are you consistently?
Is he any different from a CEO or middle management who is the number one business person in his field in the world, but treats?
But now think about that. Think about that for a second. How many people do you know that are in those positions that aren't jerks? That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's like a thing of, maybe that's the secret to success, if you will. I don't know. Some people may say that. That
personality profile is necessary to excel.
You got to look at who the people that were around him. Like,
but Magic Johnson stands in complete contrast to that.
I think he has the aura because of the smile and everything like that. But from what I hear, I mean, as a businessman, I don't think you start making that amount of money and then you're kind of just soft and easy going.
You saw a different side of Magic in this episode, though. You saw Magic cussing. Like, I've never seen Magic cuss. Like, that wasn't cursing. That was cussing.
Yeah.
That was Magic from Lansing. That was Irvin Magic Johnson from Lansing right there.
No, that's true. I mean, like, and I think that's evident in all of them. All of those greats, you're gonna have that competitive edge. You're gonna have that dog in such a way. But think about, like, how personal, like, Jordan carried it with it. Like, it's not healthy, but it was beneficial for him at the time. But that man will carry a grudge like none other, it seems like.
Did you see the interview of the thing that Ahmad Rashad did on Instagram? I think it was. He was telling a story about them in Barcelona in '92, and there in the room was Magic, Larry, Patrick Ewing, Barkley, and a few other people.
Whose team was the greatest?
Yeah, they were talking about whose team was the greatest. They were like, Patrick, Charles, y'all shut up, y'all be quiet, y'all can't enter this conversation. And then they started talking about individual people, like individual greats, like in Magic and Larry were like trying to go on it, and Jordan was like, "Yo, if y'all say anything else, I'm coming to y'all's place next year, and I'm busting y'all's. I'm not letting y'all win at all." They were like, "Okay, all right." They shut up.
If Jordan's anybody else, man, everybody's beating him up, doing something to him. Like, nobody's paying attention to him. But it's like, it's an aura. It's a whole mantra of his life, it seems like, at this present time, where he's gonna take whatever he can personally. I mean, I've heard about him making stuff up in his mind.
Yeah.
Like, just for him to have a reason to go. Like, when all of this gambling stuff was coming out, and then he comes out the next game and kills. Like, that's the way he takes it out on the people, the innocent. Like, just taking it out on people just by getting buckets. But it's so personal, man.
Like, I heard that there was, like, Steve, you're a super fan, so you probably heard this before. Have you heard the story of, like, Jordan making up something against the Nets because John Calipari was just, like, the way he was coaching?
Yeah.
Like, in the first round of the playoffs, like.
Yeah, he was yelling and treating his team so badly because he was a college coach. He was treating the professional athletes like college coaches, and it rubbed Jordan the wrong way. And so there's actually video of him just staring at him during the game. And Calipari knew he was staring at him and wouldn't return his gaze because he didn't want to make him upset. Standing like 6 feet away, just glaring at him on camera.
Man.
Like long, like the type of stare, if it was Rasheed Wallace, he would have been ejected.
It's a thing, man. It's a black cat, man.
That's ego, man, for you right there. This is like, sheesh. All right, so the next portion. Let's go to the next segment. Was the competition easy or hard for Jordan in comparison to today's athlete, today's NBA?
So here's my thing, and this is why I think people just got to be honest with certain things. Just because teams have more superstars doesn't mean like the team is going to be, as a cohesive unit, great. I think that was evident as far as like we've seen like teams that we've wanted or assume we're going to either be better than what they did.
Look at Portland back in
2000. Portland, that Lakers team when GP and Karl Malone come, like that little just last run for them. Miami, the first year with LeBron and Bosh. Like I think
Sacramento.
Yeah, even do you think about Miami? Like they didn't even get everything that they probably should have out of those years. Like they probably should have won more championships. They probably could have been a little bit more dominant, but they weren't. I think like there's a lot that gets said as far as when LeBron, and there's whole discussion about LeBron and then Jordan, that LeBron went against these super teams, yeah, because they had the players, but did they really have the team aspect that was needed? I mean, him playing the Raptors and killing them, they nice, but he was destroying DeMar DeRozan. It's like the best team I feel like he went against was the Warriors, probably the Spurs. I'm a Mavs fan, but I'm not going to say that was the best team that he went against. I think they just got him that year. But I think those are more cohesive units. Even though they had the stars on there, they were cohesive units that are good.
What do you think, Steve? Talk to me.
Just when you talk about the topic of eras, the two things you got to look at is, without qualification, this current era has better athletes, more physically talented, better nutrition.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Where the argument comes into play is whether the gameplay today is better and what effect the rules have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
the rules have a major effect on it.
Huge effect. Hand check.
Yeah. You can't hand check
versus no zone.
Yeah.
Hand checking was the great equalizer in the 80s and 90s because as long as you were fundamentally sound defensively, you could keep even the most talented superstars more or less in front of you.
That's what made
or you could funnel them into your defense if you were smart.
Yeah.
Which is what made the Pistons so tough. Right? They got rid of all of that because they opened it up in the perimeter for everyone.
Right.
So it really comes down to how do you gauge better athletes today versus the gameplay and team systems of the 80s and 90s? Because physically, the 90s and 80s were a rougher game.
Yeah. But the athletes of today would be considered better. But that's the part of it. Like, let's just say, I mean, you got great systems, the Spurs system, you got the Warriors system, where they got like an actual true system. Like, I hate to harp on your Rockets, but I don't think that's going to win them a championship by dribbling down the clock all the way down or running a high pick and roll, and that just leading to either the outlet or the corner pass or anything like that. I don't think that's going to win you the championship. When I think about these teams that are winning championships, all of them had a system. Like, they were a cohesive unit. You got the Lakers, you got the Spurs, you got the Warriors, you got the Bulls. You got the Celtics that were a cohesive unit. Like, you don't really see that it was just superstars being on the team and now we're stacked or we got whatever and we just go out and play. It's like everybody had to buy in from 12th man all the way to number 1 man that like, okay, this is how we're going to play with each other.
Yeah, and if you think about it, also the Bulls, the triangle wasn't installed. They installed it in '89, but they didn't win the championship until '91.
Yeah.
So '90 was just a work it out, try to figure things out year for them.
Now keep in mind, they still went to Game 7 against the Pistons in '90.
Yeah.
Because that was the migraine.
Yeah, but you didn't see the full fruition of their labor until '91. You know what I'm saying? So that it took them about 2 years to fully execute everything as they wanted to.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, do I believe like majority of players are better than Dan Marley today? Yes. Do I believe like a lot of them were better than Danny Ainge? Yes. Do I believe like there was
like people keep bringing up Danny Ainge. You know he was a triple All-American in 3 different sports, right?
I think that's fair. I understand that. I'm just talking about as far as on the basketball floor. I'm not talking about as a universal athlete. I'm just saying as
like I don't understand.
The fastest man in the world. That doesn't mean I'm expecting him to be Michael Jordan on the floor.
Right. It's tough. It's really tough comparing eras, right? Because we very quickly like. How would the 1985 Celtics, the 84-85 Celtics, which is considered one of the top 3 teams of all time, they knocked off the Lakers and set a record for offensive rebounds grabbed in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
Magic choked and dribbled the ball off his foot. I think he had 2 turnovers in the last minute or something in the clinching game.
Magic.
They called him tragic.
But that's my point of, I do think that we have better athletes of today, but it just goes back to my point of there was teams. I just feel like
are you prepared to say that the 85 Celtics moved forward today wouldn't win 50 to 60 games in this league?
I think they would. I'm saying that's my point. I think there's better teams that were going on back in the day than there are now. I think we have better players, but I don't think they're playing better as a team.
Do you buy into the old head argument that players in the 80s and 90s were more fundamentally sound?
It depends on what you're looking at. If you're talking about like ball movement, you're talking about moving without the ball, things like that, yeah. If you're probably even talking about being able to use like your weak hand,
right?
Give a case here or there, yeah. Being able to play with your back to the basket.
Because not everyone in the league currently is Steph.
That's what I'm saying.
You see him do his warm-ups.
Yeah. And that's a fair point. As far as the fundamentals, there probably were more fundamentally better players then.
And it was a smaller league as well.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a good discussion. I just think
I've never seen something that was satisfactory to me on breaking it down as far as definitively the move between eras. Because you also have the fact that these eras were much faster. The pace was a lot faster.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, what year was it, or what stat I saw? He shot 12 3-pointers one season.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is with the Sun series, which is another thing I should have pointed out, he averaged 40, and
41.
41.
Get it right.
I forget the stat that I saw about his 3-point. Like he literally was just killing people in the mid-range.
But they don't give it enough credit as to why it was such a shock to the basketball world what he did in '92 against the Blazers in Game 1, because he was never a long-distance threat.
Yeah.
The actual scouting report was let him settle for a 3 instead of letting him drive and kill you or get to the mid-range.
Yeah.
So for him to turn around and drop 6 in a half, it was like literally we can't do anything with him if this is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think for me the answer to the question, like, was the competition easy or hard for Jordan? I think it was for any other person in that era, it was hard because the Bulls, they went against the best teams of that time. '91 Lakers. That was at the end of Magic and his run in all them at that time.
And let's be clear, Magic was 30.
Magic was still good. Don't let this.
Like everyone likes to say that those Lakers were washed.
They weren't.
Magic was still nice. He had just won MVP two years before.
He was 31 years old.
Yeah.
Perkins, what? Come on now. That was a good squad. '92. The Blazers.
Drexler,
But you're going right back to my point, Fab. Karl Malone and John Stockton, yeah, they're two of the greatest players of all time. We may not even pay attention to the rest of the players on their team, but the fact is they played as a consistent unit. Byron Russell, Hornacek, whoever, like they played within their role. I don't think like that's necessarily – if you think about teams that are winning championships, if you look at Bulls, you look at the Spurs, you look at the Lakers, you look at the Warriors, these are teams that implemented some type of system in some type of way for them to flourish. Even the Bulls didn't start winning until that system came out for them to even take it to another level.
And not only the system, right? Because any team can have a system.
Yeah.
But their players, for any of these championship teams, their roster fully buys in.
Yeah. As it. And it was even harder to like stop him in such a way.
That was the most frustrating thing for me as a Rockets fan, because I knew once KD went down, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Warriors are done." And I said, "You all don't understand." I think I told you this in the gym, West, when it happened. I said, they're about to immediately revert back to 2015, 2016, and they're going to be even more impossible to defend because of the ball movement.
Yeah.
When KD's dribbling for 16 seconds,
yeah,
Clay and Steph sort of zone out, and they're way more predictable.
But the problem is because KD is because he's so efficient shooting, it's like you got.
But the Rockets were beating them when he was on the floor.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's easier to stop a team when they're holding the ball. That's like to your point. But I'm just saying to Kevin Durant's side of it is like that's such a lethal assassin that it's like hard to stop him in general.
Look. Give me KD shooting contested jumpers any day over ball movement in two of the
definitely
of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is counterintuitive because everyone gets pulled into the superstar talk. But if you really know basketball, as crazy as it sounds, the Warriors were more dangerous, more difficult to defend, and more unstoppable when KD was not on the floor.
Use that ball, man. Use that ball.
What do you do with them?
Yeah.
You can't double them.
Because the ball's moving.
Yep.
The only thing you wanted to do was to see Draymond shoot. That was a gift.
Yeah.
So I got a question. I want to throw this in here real quick. You got let's say, okay, what do you think is the best version of the Warriors? The one with KD or the one without KD?
I say the one without.
What do you think, Wes?
I'm gonna say the one with, only because I want to say I don't think that KD was against like the system of stuff. I just knew, especially when we saw that encounter that happened with Draymond and him, it's like y'all know who to get the ball to. I think that
30 for 30 is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I just think that was his only thing. Give me the ball at the end. But as far as like throughout the rest of it, I think they did pretty well as best as you can do with having one guy in the whole world, a number 5 guy, number 4 guy in the whole world, another top 10, if you will, player, and bring that all together. I think they did.
That was the problem. That was the problem. KD demanded that respect, which he should. Yeah. But that is counter to the philosophy and team dynamic that was there.
And which is
why Draymond exploded about it.
So
we won without you.
So this is my question. I'll go with the KD Warriors. That 5 against the 5 that's right behind you, Steve.
Y'all really saying that the KD team
I'm just
better than the 73 win team?
I'm just picking them. I'm
not gonna say like, man, them having KD made them worse. I think it made them play different.
That's my point. But the way they played wasn't as efficient or frankly even as fundamental to watch.
That's fair, though. But I just know if you step on the floor, if you saw Harrison Barnes instead of KD, you're feeling a little bit better.
But you are completely terrified of Clay and Steph.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you aren't. I'm just saying for the fact that KD is there, you're also having another thought to like, dang it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they didn't play like a better version of basketball. but I am going to also be sure to acknowledge the fact that they won championships. So it's like I can't say like, oh man, well, it's like they didn't reach the level that they needed to. We're talking about apples and oranges. Like that's literally it. Which one do you like more?
Which one would beat the other?
I think the KD less one.
I think now that's where I think you may be right. I may be contradicting myself on that, but I think you may be right on that.
The KD less ones would, because they would be running all over the place. I
got to give y'all enough rope for y'all to hang yourself off the chair here.
But no, back to my question though, for real. Okay, let's go with the KD, the death lineup of the Warriors against that five that's right behind you, Steve. Who's winning? Because they both have systems.
1996 rules or 2016 rules? 1996.
No, I'll go with 2016 rules. I'll go with 2016
rules.
Yeah.
50-50 toss-up in 7.
Dude.
50-50 toss-up in 7.
I'm going to say this. This is the only thing I'm going to say. Michael Jordan would probably get, let's just say, 2 more shots per quarter than he did in that time, right? And which means probably
he's averaging 40.
And he's going to the line probably 1 more time. In a 4-quarter period or 4-quarter game, that's going to be, he's already efficient. You got him and KD going back and forth. But do I really have to be worried about KD if I know that I got Scotty?
That's my thing. This is what I love about this matchup.
And so then at the same time, if we're talking about, because we got to give respect to Kukoc, it ain't like he was a bum. It ain't like Rodman was a bum.
The 96 Bulls are uniquely built to transcend their era, right? Because whoever is the best player on the other team, Scottie Pippen's going to defend them.
Yeah.
And if it's a big man, they're going to put Dennis Rodman on him.
And hold on. Think about this too. Jordan is one of the only superstars to ever have a Defensive Player of the Year award.
True. Okay.
And be also the leading scorer.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's
put it in
context.
Let's talk about this, okay?
I'm gonna give 5 minutes on this. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock for this.
I picked the Bulls, but let's talk first. It's easy to say what the Bulls would struggle with. Okay? The Bulls would never have seen a team with as good a shooters as these.
Yeah.
The best shooter they had gone against was a single man in Reggie Miller, we'll say, right?
You got basically 2 Reggie Millers on one team.
2 Reggie Millers who aren't running as much.
And one's got handles.
But Steph is small. And one of the things about
today's rules.
One of the things about this Bulls team, if you look at this background, the shortest person is Ron Harper at 6'6".
Now that is true. That is true.
Coach is 7 feet. Jordan 6'6". Pippen is 6'8" or 6'9", wingspan at least, 7-foot wingspan, probably 6'7". Worm was 6'7", 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Luke Longley on the bench is a 7-footer. Wennington's a 7-footer.
And you got to think about also you got the 3-point threat coming off the bench. Their own coach.
Kerr. All right. So, Kerr at one point had the all-time record for 3-point accuracy percentage.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. All right. Are we allowing coaching to be a factor?
I think so. That would be beautiful basketball, man. That would just be beautiful basketball.
On both sides, just down, up and down the court.
Beautiful. I would love to see Rodman and Draymond go against each other.
Rodman said he'd make him his girlfriend. Okay. KD gets his, but Pippen makes him work. Pippen
reverse that though. Reverse that. Is KD making? Who's KD guarding?
KD less Warriors though.
I have this discussion. Oh, it's the KD less Warriors or KD
that's
Warriors?
That's what we're talking about.
Oh wait, guys.
Oh well, this is
okay. By 2016 rules, no KD. Bulls in 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's a different
1996, Bulls in 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's a different discussion, man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, I'm talking about the KD.
Because now you're talking about Scottie Pippen defending Steph Curry 94 feet.
Yeah. And if he locked up Magic Johnson, he definitely better lock up.
Steph's faster. Steph has a great handle, but Scottie's going to wear him down physically.
And Scottie has a point guard mindset. So
Scottie's going to make him.
I don't think the thing will be Scottie's defense as much as it'll be even if Scottie's bringing the ball up the floor, and who's guarding Scottie?
Right, because he initiates. Does it have to be Draymond in transition?
You got Clay and you got Draymond that are going to be your best defenders.
The cross matchups are not good for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Because Clay is going to get – if Clay is getting wiped out by James Harden, and frankly, Clay has been wiped out by James Harden, what's he going to do with Michael Jordan in 1996?
With one dribble.
Right? Yep. So let's take that out of the way there. Jordan is better than anyone on their roster who would defend him by a wider margin than anyone on the Warriors.
True.
Now, if Steph's coming up and just shooting from half court, that probably is.
I mean, but he's going to do that 20 times?
I mean, he may hit it 20 times.
He's not going to hit 23s like that.
He's going to have to work. He's going to have to work for that.
He's going to – but I'm saying now for him to get the ball up the floor, yeah, I get you on that point. I just think it would be beautiful basketball. I don't want to disrespect Steph though like that on his hand.
No. I think the length is going to be problematic for the Warriors.
Yeah,
this will be the biggest team the Warriors has ever faced.
Yeah, but my only thing with the Magic comparison, did Magic have the handle that Steph did?
No, but Magic was 6'9".
And I get you on that. I understand that. I'm just saying Magic wasn't as fast and he didn't have the handle. I'm just saying there's
But see, here's the problem. With the handle, you're taking away his vision in the sight lines with Scottie Pippen.
All I'm saying is Jamal Mashburn dropped 50 on Scottie Pippen.
Jamal Mashburn was 6'8".
I'm just saying, man. I'm saying in general, though, I'm saying for Scottie Pippen, yes, I understand him being the great defender. I'm saying we can't discredit, though, that Steph Curry is also an all-time great. So, like, at his skill level, is he going to be completely stopped just because of him being small? Is that going to be the only thing that just takes him out? Which could be true. I'm just saying, is Scottie's defense going to be better than Steph's handle?
Really, remember, the point here really in this matchup is, can the Bulls limit the Warriors in what they did best as a jump shooting team? And I say yes, because of their length and their ability to contest. That's what my prediction is. And I predict that the Bulls would out-rebound them. And I predict that the Bulls would more easily run their set against the Warriors than the Warriors would against them.
Yeah, I thought you meant, though, Fab, with KD.
Nah.
Because now, look, flip it. Who defends who on the Warriors?
Talking about – we're talking about KD Warriors?
The Warriors are going to defend. What's the matchups for them to defend this Bulls team?
Draymond on Rodman.
Draymond and Rodman. Okay.
I don't think Draymond's on Rodman. Why would he be wasting his time doing that? He'd have to go guard either Jordan or Pippen because he only got Clay and Green.
Okay, all right. Let's do this. Let's put Draymond on Jordan. That's their. Where are you gonna put? You can only put
Clay. You can only put Clay.
That's what I'm saying. Where are you gonna put him? Are you gonna put him on Jordan? Or are you gonna put him on Scottie?
I think Draymond will probably.
You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
I think Draymond would go better against the Scottie because like there would probably be focal point of Clay going against Jordan. The thing is, if you have Draymond on Dennis Rodman doesn't have to do anything. So then Draymond Green is standing out there on the 3-point line.
My bad. I was thinking the other way around. I was thinking the Bulls matching up with the Warriors, not Warriors matching up with the Bulls.
Yeah, like you can't – because then you have Kukoc.
Who's guarding Kukoc?
Like who's guarding him? Who's guarding him?
What happens – and see, I fully believe that Phil Jackson is a better coach than all of the coaches of the Rockets. And the Rockets were able to see you attack Steph Curry on switches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what happens when you have the physical advantage against Steph Curry throughout your entire lineup?
Yeah, well, that wraps this one up.
That segment's done. That segment, I think
we're going to hear about that. There are going to be a lot of Warriors fans who are going to have a problem with that.
I'll take Bulls in 5.
Yeah, I'll take the Bulls over that one, just because of Scotty and
Hey, I love the Warriors, but I might even take the Bulls in 4. I think that would be a clean sweep.
I think they'd give one game because they'd have to adjust to the shooting. I think that would be it.
All right. Next topic. Because we can stay there all day, I think. Should we expect black athletes to be activists? This is going to lead into the next discussion. So
we talked about this in the chat.
Yeah.
This is tough, right? Because on one hand, I was raised that you want to always be a credit to your race, right? And help those when you're able to, et cetera, all of the niceties you expect. But at the same time, do you think in 2020 that it's an unfair burden to place on people once they achieve any sort of success to demand that of them?
I mean,
and I say that, let me preface why I'm saying that. Because I don't believe in other races that you see that immediate, well, maybe in the Chinese, and Caribbean, but I don't know where you place those.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think, certainly not in the dominant race as far as demographics in this country.
Yeah.
Is our the other races celebrities don't speak for their race and aren't how their entire race is judged.
Some people would say, well, they are being oppressed and same. And I guess that's where people would get the thin line on it. But I understand where you're coming from. I think that is, and that's why I was asking, I was like, if you're black and you're successful, does that mean that you're an activist in some way, like automatically, because you're black? Of course, when I think about being black, that's a whole experience within itself than just saying, well, my skin color is black. So in large part, because we're talking about this in correlation to Jordan saying that he wasn't going to take any type of political stance, I can respect him saying that he didn't know, therefore, or he didn't know anything about like this guy and anything, therefore he wasn't going to willfully put himself out there in that way. I can respect that because I think in the light of consciousness or being woke, I think we may approve of things sometimes that we don't fully actually understand and may not be completely informed on sometimes. But we can say at the same time that, yeah, there is a benefit that if Jordan does say something, yeah, there's a benefit.
And Wes, let's keep it 100, okay? Yeah. All of us in this chat are working people. We all have jobs.
We do.
Yeah.
All of us here would think twice if they had to go out on a ledge on a racial issue if they knew it meant their job was threatened.
Yeah.
Think about it. That's something you have to.
None of us are jumping off into the pool sight unseen.
And that's the thing. When you think about, and that's why I made that comment, I think there's people that can be active and do things that are for or promote like activity within the black race that could be good, whether it be community efforts, whether it be financial efforts, whatever it is. But when I think about somebody that is an activist, I give respect to that person because I think of them being full-time on that specific thing. I put it this way, I'm not expecting Michael Jordan to be an activist for me. I appreciate it if he is. I'm not expecting LeBron James to be that, but I appreciate it if he is because I know at the same time, this guy's a basketball player. So it's like, wow, he has that much thought to think about stuff, but I'm not when he gets drafted, I'm not thinking, and this is just me, man, he better stand up for us black people. Like, I'm not necessarily thinking that automatically. My first thought is, man, he got drafted. Wow. Okay.
What's the record? What's the season looking like?
Yeah, like that's where I'm thinking about it. But at the same time, if LeBron, somebody on that level, if a Jordan, if a Serena, if a Tiger, if somebody actually says something, it does cause a weight shift, and it does cause people to acknowledge stuff, which is why some people would say it's their responsibility to be informed, which I can hear where people are coming from with that. I just don't know if you can relegate that to everybody that's in a position of power.
Well, the popular stance is to take a dump on Jordan on this. The popular stance is to say criticisms from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on down over the past 20 years. What people don't like is to hear facts on this topic when it comes to Michael Jordan, okay? Nike now has more minority executives and people in power than most any other apparel division.
Yeah.
All right? So let's talk about what power is and what empowerment is.
Okay, so before you go there, then you're leading to where I was thinking. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, do you really have to be out front to be an activist, or can you?
Here we go.
Can you be? Are people at? I think people don't know what they're asking for. I think they're asking for people to have a voice. To be an activist means like you have to be out there doing stuff. You can be an activist and not be seen in front of everybody all the time. You don't have to be a Al Sharpton. You don't have to.
I want to go with that though. But here's the thing. This is where it becomes interesting because some people will say, well, Jordan being this owner is aid for black people in such a way. I hear where you're coming from, Steve, on everything. But I'm not thinking that Jordan was like thinking, or this is about to open doors for black people to own NBA teams.
No, that's not fair, Wes. Why not?
I don't think
he was the first player owner ever.
No, but why would we associate that with him? If he's not associating that with him, why would we put that on him? Why would we say, oh, he's thinking about how I'm about to open doors for all the black people? If he never said that. That's
Jordan wanted ownership since 2001 when he came back with the Wizards.
He wanted ownership, and that's fine. I'm saying that's something that he wanted to pursue. I'm saying, though, is he doing that for the sake of—
But it also had never been done, Wes.
And that's great. I'm saying, is he doing that, though, for the sake of, I'm opening doors for all the other black owners to come about?
I don't think we could outright say no.
I'm saying, but we could have evidence that probably wasn't his motive behind it because of where he's talking about. We just saw that he doesn't have that understanding of like, I'm doing this. But also at the same time, he gave, what was it? He donates money to NAACP. Don't quote me on this. But then he also gives money to some other party or something like that. And I believe that came out.
It was a police community organization. He donated.
And so like, I don't think of Michael Jordan as somebody in general, though, that is thinking about how can I lead black people.
You don't see it.
No, but I'm saying,
it was never his style to put it on Front Street.
But no, I'm saying that's fair. You giving money to something, to me, is one thing that is good, and that's fine. You can give money. I'm saying
founding donor to
that is, and I believe that is. Museum. I believe that's a good thing. I'm not saying that it has nothing to do with advancing black people. I'm saying
he quietly paid for the closing of Malcolm X.
And that's great. I'm not saying that's not good for black people. I'm talking about his ownership part. I don't believe he did that because he's thinking of how I can open doors for black people.
I don't think that's fair, Wes.
Okay, so then you can also say on the other side of that, though.
It was so obvious that this had never been done.
I'm not talking about what's unprecedented.
No,
I'm talking about, but that doesn't mean.
No, when I say unprecedented, I mean unprecedented racially. So
I'm saying we've
never seen a former player in any big league sport in the United States.
But he's also the guy that didn't take any political stance. I'm saying there's different things about Michael Jordan that are conditioned.
And wait. He don't. So because he didn't, he donated thousands and thousands of dollars to those candidates as well, quietly, right?
Steve, I'm saying that is a good thing. I'm saying that Michael Jordan doing something as far as becoming an owner doesn't mean just because it meant something to you that he meant for it to mean something to you. That's all I'm saying. Just because it's saying, oh man, black people could own, doesn't mean he was saying in his heart, I'm doing this for black people to own. That doesn't mean you can have a separate.
So what puts you in the position to be able to question what's in his heart when neither you or I know it?
I'm saying what puts you in the position to say that he definitely was doing it for that reason, just because you were inspired from it. That doesn't mean that he was doing it for the sake of, for you to be able to own a team.
No. I'm just saying that I think that is a factor. I'm not saying that was the driving force.
That may be.
I'm not claiming it was the driving force.
I'm just saying, for me and how I view Michael Jordan, once I go about the thing about the expectations of everything, even just seeing how he goes about his life, and yes, he donated the money. I believe that's a good thing. I'm not saying that, discrediting that or anything. I'm just talking about the ownership part, because a lot of people were saying, in light of all of this, well, he's a black owner. He's a billionaire. He's doing all these things that are, he's a whole brand within itself. I don't think of Michael Jordan as a person that's waking up each day saying, how am I about to advance stuff for black people? That's what I was saying. My expectation.
Do you think of any NBA athlete that way?
I don't. That's what goes back to my original point. I don't have that expectation of, man, I'm trying to advance, or this person trying to advance everything for me. I think, like you said, there is credible evidence to somebody. If they put something out, we can have, like, in saying, like, okay, obviously they're trying to do something. Sure, that's probably why the debates happen with LeBron and Jordan, because we see stuff with LeBron and it's like, well, obviously he's trying to do something. But I think LeBron also has a business agenda as well, just like Michael Jordan does. I'm just saying, from the way that it looks about Michael Jordan, he doesn't seem to be the person that's just getting up every day and is like, I'm about to be an activist. And I think that's okay, but I'm not going to say and laud him as like the great hope to the black race in some type of way that some people would want to do it in a way, or would have wanted to in the 90s, because he wasn't trying to position himself like that.
Agreed.
And that's all I'm saying.
Sure. But I think that the way we give LeBron James recognition almost at Michael Jordan's expense as a contrast is just factually wrong, because of what we have seen come out over the past 20 years about how quietly Michael was working behind the scenes.
And that's fair.
Both within the basketball business and outside of that business.
And that's fair. I think that is fair. I think even with LeBron making the comments that he made about everything, I forget the guy's name that was
Whitlock.
Yeah. Well, no. I saw Whitlock's response, but I'm talking about the kid that actually passed away. I forget his name that passed in Georgia, that was shot down and everything. The one that the video came out about and everything.
Arbery.
Yeah.
And LeBron came out and said what he said. Like, see, I can expect that from LeBron, to your point, because of things that I've seen. And I'm saying, though, based off of what I've seen, I'm not thinking, though, from Jordan is just a thing of, okay, like, I'm thinking about the black folks in any type of way. And that, I'm saying, is fine by him. I'm saying I'm not trying to push him in that area. It would be great if he did, sure, fine. But I'm not putting that on him, because I feel like there's other things, or there's other people that could create some bigger change, because that may not be his obligation in most respect. And that's okay for him.
So what I think is that, like, I think people they say they want somebody to act. I think they just want somebody who has a voice, to voice their, like, when something like this happens, like something that happened to these two guys recently, just to say something, just to open up their mouth and just say, like, this is crappy, something needs to change, something needs to happen.
Yeah.
It would be nice if Jordan actually said, hey, we need to do something about this, instead of, like, you know, I know the Charles Barkley slogan, you know, I'm not a role model and all that kind of stuff, but yet I have a voice. Just because I think you have a voice, you need to exercise your voice. When you have that, when you have that power.
But the problem is, though, this is where we're the double standard, and this is why I'm saying I'm just trying to look at it from everywhere. where I understand Jordan may be coming from and everything. We don't put that on Barkley or Magic Johnson. We don't do any of that because they were at the height as well. But we weren't saying, oh, Barkley needs to be saying stuff. And if you really think about it, but here's the thing, the person that was standing up for stuff and that was doing things was Isaiah Thomas. And there's evidence of Isaiah Thomas that he was making himself vocal in some type of way. And there is, I guess there's a thing in my mind, at that era of basketball, we weren't asking them to necessarily be those guys. And if they did something, great. I think now, because of everything that we see happening, because of how bad stuff is happening, it's not good to expect for them to have that sole responsibility because they are basketball players. But it is good to see that when they do take on the responsibility, that they're doing that and they are basketball players, because we all like to relate with people. To know that Michael Jordan understands how I feel is great, because I don't know how Michael Jordan feels.
Right. All right, so we're running down. Let's do our closing like on PTI.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this thing is rolling. We've been rolling good for the past like almost 40 minutes now. Another 40 minutes. All right. So let me ask you about Craig Hodges real quick. His comments. We'll see if we can do this in like maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
But what I agree with Craig about is saying that he doesn't hold Michael Jordan to task for speaking out in 1990 to 1993 when they were together on the team, because he doesn't think Michael had anything to say.
But Oda, did you watch the current one with Rob Parker and Chris Broussard?
I don't think I saw that. I read the article.
If you look at the watch the video, it just came out this week. Well, he's actually kind of changing his perspective, because he's kind of upset about why all this stuff came out now. One, he doesn't like that Jordan threw Horace Grant out there. Yeah. He doesn't like that he talked about Scottie in that way, and he doesn't like the whole cocaine part and everything. The Horace part, especially, he doesn't like because I forget, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he was just basically saying that's one of your teammates and everything like that. And if it is true that Horace put that stuff out there, why not tell us how you know, or in some type of way?
No, but we know it's not Horace. In actuality, we knew it wasn't Horace. We knew that the main source is actually Phil Jackson and the coaching staff.
We don't know that, because I'm just saying what the documentary said. That was it.
Right, but Jordan was wrong about that.
But I'm saying, though, for somebody that's watching it, all that's being portrayed is that Horace did it. And then at the same time, he'd also said, Craig said in the interview that, which I didn't necessarily agree with. He said because Jordan's mom told him to actually, and I forget the guy that was running for Senate, but to actually, help him. Yeah. Since Jordan's mom said something like, go and support of him, Craig Hodges was saying he should have done it because his mom said so. I don't.
That argument doesn't fly for me.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
And I don't agree with Craig Hodges on the whole cocaine traveling. So if them dudes were cokeheads, like, what do you can't do nothing to defend that.
He was saying that, I guess, like, now people's families find that out. And I can understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I don't know. It's just hard. And like I said, Michael Jordan's a myth, man. It's just hard. Like, everything
about something that's legitimately 35 years ago.
That's it. But his thing is now,
it's a documentary.
Like the timing of it, everything like that, with the stuff.
And remember, Michael Jordan didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
It was brought to him as a question, and he answered what he had seen.
Right. And he did not confirm or deny. He just laughed and just said, "Hey,"
and then shared what he saw that time he went to the hotel.
Right. So I think Craig Hodges is like one of those dudes.
Because the streets were saying that Mike was snitching a lot on Twitter.
Yeah. I think Craig Hodges is extra black. He's like a Dr. Umar type of dude. And
don't insult Craig Hodges like that.
Don't put Umar and Hodges in that name.
Don't insult Craig Hodges. That's so disrespectful, Wes.
Umar actually had his I'm saying Hodges actually had his stuff together. Going up and actually
that's so disrespectful.
Umar,
I'm saying he's like this. He's an extra pro black dude. Never went to the White House.
One of these men has substance.
Yeah, Craig Hodges might be that person. I'm just saying he's pro-black, and I know he doesn't want other people putting down his own race, even his own people. So I understand that. I get that. I'm all for that. But dude, come on, this is a documentary.
But hey, look, his point about he was really what came to the head was he was trying to get Magic and Jordan to sit out of the All-Star game because of this stuff that was going on. And they weren't for it. And he was going off of, I forget which year, 63 and 68. But I think Baylor and West like having problems with the hotel and everything like that, and how West stood up for him and all these things. And he was going off of, everything that happened in the Olympics with Tommy and the boys and all of them, like standing up at the end. And so like in his respect, he was saying, let's just take these prominent athletes that are in the top of Black America, and if they were to do something, it's going to be a voice. But he's saying like they weren't prepared to do that. So that's where his frustration really was. And then like it's coming out even more because of this documentary.
But to be fair, Craig Hodges didn't have as much to lose as Michael.
Now that's the thing. Now he acknowledges that. He acknowledged it. And he says in retrospect, he knows this was not a thing he could have done by himself. He would have needed actually people that were heavier in the system to actually do, along with him. That he wasn't that big of a cat in the game. So,
all right. So in these last few minutes that we got like 3 minutes now? Dang, 3 minutes. All right. So I got a question. What are you surprised that you haven't seen yet? What do you want to see in the rest of the documentary? I'll say this first. I'm surprised we haven't gotten to Jordan's family life.
That's what I want to see.
Like
I want to see about Juanita.
We haven't talked about any of the kids.
Or the fact that he wasn't married to her when he had the kids.
Yeah.
We haven't.
And the press kept it.
Or he thought that the first kid wasn't his. Let's go there.
Okay, so
we haven't talked about them sneaking off and getting married in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and he asked the press to keep it quiet, and they did. They protected him.
So, and I saw something this week. I meant to send.
I just want to see myself on camera when he comes to Huntsville and they show the footage against the Birmingham Barons against the Huntsville Stars, because I was there.
That's probably gonna come up soon, because they're probably going to talk about the father down there going to baseball next.
I was sitting right behind their bench.
I'm just. Like the guy who did the documentary, he was on Jalen and Jacoby. He was talking about how like there would be one day that Jordan was like, they sent him questions and Jordan was like, I didn't read it. You can ask me whatever you want.
Yeah.
These next 2 episodes are apparently explosive.
Yeah.
Because he said he could not.
The perception of Jordan apparently.
But he said he could not believe that Michael Jordan didn't veto anything.
Yeah, because they're saying like some of this stuff really will change the perception.
They're going to show him fighting teammates.
Yeah, the Steve Kerr thing's coming up soon.
Yeah.
That's next.
I'm excited. Right. Is it crazy to y'all that we're already on episodes 7 and 8?
Yes. Yeah. And I go back and start from the beginning again.
Think about Sunday, this documentary, how slow time would be going, man.
But every Sunday I tweet the same thing after it's done and say that's the fastest 2 hours I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you imagine if they had done this like 1 hour per week.
Oh man. But this is like The Wire. This is how it used to be, Sunday night HBO with The Wire. But I'm excited.
Me too. I'm ready for it. All right, y'all. We out. And stop recording.